Hello and welcome to Fantasy Football Hub. I'm joined today by FPL Salah, aka Abdul. Abdul, how are we getting on?
Yeah, not bad, John. Not bad. How's yourself, mate?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a couple of weeks, and your team. We're going to show it to people very shortly. It's
hmm
you, you're in trouble.
Um,
I'm in trouble. I think a lot of us are. You know the Reece James issues, which we'll obviously
yeah.
talk about. Mitrovic still a doubt, but looking a little more promising maybe. Nico Williams, who was a lot of our kind of bench fodder that we were banking on.
hmm
A lot of
Yeah, it's falling
problems.
apart. It's falling apart, isn't it?
Yeah. You've a red arrow. Do you want to tell us how last week went?
Yeah, it wasn't too good. I got 61 points. So it was around about. I forgot like about 4 or 5 more points. I would have had a green arrow. It's just how kind of condensed the ranks are at the
Mm.
moment. But yeah, not a great week. I had Cancelo and Haaland and Solanke who are, and Martinelli who are the kind of the main protagonists of my points. But I didn't have the likes of Kane, Trippier, who are kind of highly owned, and obviously, due to them, basically, I got a red arrow. So I went down for I was at 187k and I went down to 297k. So again, you know, I've been kind of slipping down the last few weeks, but that's still like at game week 10, that's still a good rank. I was looking at the start I had last year, and I was at this at game week 10 last season. I was at like 45k, which is only about a 20 point difference to
Mm.
where I'm at now. So it's still I'm still happy with the start, but of course I think I could have been a bit better.
I love that you do have Salah as FPL Salah, and the man absolutely ripped the Champions League, and you won last
Yes.
night, and more specifically Rangers. 7-1, hat trick in 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Like, is he back, or was it just Rangers? It's not quite
uh,
Premier League, but you know.
yeah, I mean, I don't think he was ever gone, but I just think he was going through, just as a lot of footballers go through, like the purple patches, for certain reasons. Liverpool weren't playing well. He was out of position a little bit. We're kind of seeing he has the last 2 games, before Rangers, he was like really, really wide, especially against Arsenal. I mean, he was like wide and deep, whereas this time Klopp kind of played him, as a centre forward. So hopefully, he does that going forward now because, yeah, I mean, FPL wise, that's where you want him, don't you? If you've got
Mm.
Salah.
The goals, I don't know what it was. I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't have got a hat trick because that's just football. You know, sometimes players score goals when they
Yeah.
shouldn't and they miss goals when they should. That's just football, XG, all the rest. But they seemed a bit easy last night. I almost feel deceived by the hat trick. The toe poke through, I felt like it should have been saved. The shot where the goalkeeper was just miles off it. I don't know. That's not anything we should really consider. Bottom line is, it's a hat trick. Great for his team, great for his self-esteem, great for his confidence, and even just a 7-1 victory for Liverpool is great for them because I think it's more than just Salah's problem recently. It's the whole team, and you've
Yeah.
got Trent, so you're kind of double screwed in a sense here. Not a lot of people have both of them at the minute.
Yeah. So that I think for me, the kind of the big blow for my team is Trent because he's not very high owned at all, especially amongst like the kind of engaged managers. So that's kind of one where I'm a bit behind now. So and he's definitely been ruled out. So yeah, he's gonna have to be replaced this week.
So we'll talk about the replacements for the likes of James and Trent for you in your case. Yeah, what I've been saying, yes, over the course of the week, talking about Carn Wes, there aren't many sexy options left because we all went big at the back. Perisic really isn't too great an option. Chilwell's there, could be rotated with Cucurella. We have Trippier and Cancelo who are in most teams already. So it seems that the only real option for most people, if you don't have the Trippier or the Cancelo, that's where you go, in my opinion. But it seems to be a relatively unsexy downgrade.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, I mean, obviously, if you've not got Cancelo and Trippier, then you go there. But yeah, after that, it gets a bit, like you're scraping the barrel a bit. But I mean, you've got options like, for example, Gay, Dunk, Webster, Kilman, and yeah, they're not kind of attractive options at all. They're just kind of players you'd usually have on your bench or play when you need them. But they are going to be useful when it comes to game week 12 because now that Reece James is likely going to be out for that game week, it's not confirmed yet. We know he's going to be out for game week 11. And with City and Arsenal blanking, you're going to need all the players you can get really. And you mentioned before stream as well, Nico Williams. A lot of guys have got him planned to play him game week 12, but now he's probably lost his place to kind of Serge Aurier. So yeah, I mean, now you're looking at, those options, likes of Wales, Crystal Palace, you've got good fixtures in Game Week 12, and yeah, I guess you just go there, and then you bank the cash, and you can, I guess you can use it, after Game Week 12. You probably need it, but yeah, I think that's kind of where most FPL managers are at with James right now.
I just want to shout out Hissam Fadil, who was first in the comments. FPL Bob's in there a couple of times too. Aidan Deloy, FPL Swanson, good to see you. Jamie Gofro's here. FPL Sparta, another regular of the chat. JC and Miles Smith. Miles Smith, smash that like button before John sheds a tear. You know me all too well. I'm only going to beg for it in about 20 minutes. So we have 3 game weeks in about 8 days. It's going to be a huge sort of 8 days of football. Cannot wait. Does that change how aggressive you're going to be in terms of replacing someone who's an injury? Because normally if someone's injured and you go, oh, they're out for 2 weeks, you're thinking in your head, it's just a game or two. Whereas whenever they're out for 2 weeks now, it could be 3-4 games they're missing. So can you afford to maybe be a bit more aggressive in replacing them, assuming that you'll rack the points back up quicker? Or does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a great point, John, because as you said, I mean, now a player missing a week now will miss 3 game weeks. Reece James being, the case in point here is that, usually you just keep Reece James. I mean, if it was a normal kind of game week where it was, the next weekend, we would just bench him and then, play our bench options. But now, I think we do need to be a bit more aggressive with the transfers, because especially with these kind of niggling injuries over this kind of busy period. If you're not proactive enough, you could just end up with a dud on your bench, with like a £6 million defender on your bench, and then you could have kind of capitalised on that. And the thing with Reece James specifically is that he is only 6 million. He hasn't risen in price, so you've not got any money tied up in him like a Cancelo, for example. So with this, especially with James, I think you can afford to be a bit more aggressive. But again, it comes to a point where if there were better options, then better options than the likes of like Guy and Dunk, for example, then it'd be a bit more tempting. But just because we don't have those options, you kind of have to weigh up, okay, do I be aggressive in this case, or do I kind of hold off and maybe look to upgrade elsewhere and keep James on the bench? So it is a decision, but I think generally, yes, I think we have to be a bit more aggressive in this period, because players can miss up to 3 games. When we think they'll probably miss 1 game, but they could end up missing 3. So it's a bit risky.
Another highly owned player who people are still waiting on news on, but I think it looks it's definitely more optimistic than Reece James, is Mitrovic. What are your thoughts on Mitrovic?
Yeah, I mean, I was really confident before the West Ham game, because the way Salah, I listened to his press conference and he was saying, he could make it for West Ham. If not for West Ham, definitely Bournemouth. I mean, I actually heard them say this, but then after the West Ham game, he said something along the lines of, he wasn't doing too well in the last few days, so we didn't play him. So a bit less optimistic than I was before the West Ham game, but still, I think I'd say probably 80% chance he starts. Again, he's just one of those players, Mitrovic. Even if he's half fit, if he's able to get on that field, he'll be on that pitch. So, yeah, I'm a bit more optimistic, and it's just a bit of hope as well, because I really need him to be fit. If he's out as well, and I've got James and Trent in there, then yeah, it's going to be a bit of a headache for me.
Well, the last player I want to throw at you, just because we've looked at sort of defenders to replace, we've talked about Mitrovic, is Luis Diaz or whatever other injured midfielder or whoever people might need rid of. What midfielders are on your radar at the minute over the next few weeks?
I think for me, Jared Bowen, definitely, likes a Trossard. They're midfielders that, I've got good kind of fixtures coming up, and they're, great options as well. With Bowen, we know that now, he's a much more attractive option because, he's confirmed to be on penalties. Obviously it was Declan Rice before him. He did take one a few weeks ago in the Europa League, but then I don't think we weren't sure whether he was going to take over in the league as well, but we know that now. So yeah, but Bowen right up there, Trossard, and I've already got Maddison and Zaha, but if obviously I didn't have them, they'd be top of my list as well. So I think all these kind of the ones I mentioned, they've all got good fixtures up until the World Cup, and just really however your team is structured and who you've got space for, really.
I've a player I want to throw at you, and by all means, come back at me with other players you want to discuss if there's anyone. But someone who maybe was reinvigorated in the last game week was Bruno Guimaraes at Newcastle. 2 goals, 15 points, reminiscent of what he did in the last 6 months of last season. He started this season playing very deep. I don't know if that's changed. I was only talking to Wes yesterday about it. We weren't actually sure. We need a Newcastle fan to clarify, or we need to go and watch some footage. But 2 goals, an assist the game before that. Is he a viable option again? 5.6, or would you give it a little bit longer?
I'd give it a little bit longer because he scored those 2 goals from like 2 shots, and the great finishes, John. But he's never been he's never been a kind of FPL option in the past. If you know what I mean, if you look at his past record in his clubs, he's not a goal scorer. He's one of those. He's a defensive midfielder, so his goals and assists are quite low. But yeah, I've not looked into how his position has been specifically for Newcastle in that game, but I would say that it's more likely just a kind of a flash in the pan rather than something we're gonna kind of see continuous now. But yeah, I mean, even with that, you'd want to see a bit more from him before you kind of take the plunge on him, especially when you've got other top options there and like a Trossard, like I mentioned.
I see Frost Bolter in the comments there from Melbourne. He was here yesterday. We've got a little Melbourne contingent who tend to watch me before bed, Salah. Right. So they're going to be in your thoughts. They might dream about you tonight. And there's a few other familiar faces there. So, yeah, there we go. Miles Smith, I'd like FPL Salah to be on my bedtime audiobook. It's just very soothing, isn't it? The beautiful Scottish accent. But look, we want to look ahead as well to game week 12, not just game week 11, because we're going to be up the walls trying to get content out this week. I've pulled your team into the My Team tool on Fantasy Football Hub here, Abdul, and we're going to look anyway at game week 11 first and see what you're thinking about, and then we'll look ahead to game week 12 and the captaincy more so.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts for this week? I have your team on the screen. It's not looking great.
No, it's not. So as you can see, I've got Reece James, Trent, and Mitrovic who are all kind of doubts. Obviously, Trent is out. He's definitely going. So I think I'll go Trent. Obviously, I've not got Trippier, as you can see, so he's obviously my kind of top target. I think in the next few weeks I want to get in Trent and either Dunk or Kilman. So my first transfer this week is going to be. I've got 2 free transfers, by the way. My first transfer is going to be Trent to either Trippier or Dunk. I know Trippier's got Man United away, but it's just the way the things are falling, and Newcastle have got Everton game week 12, which I want him for. So just really this a case of, do I want Dunk this week for Brentford away, which isn't the best fixture, or do I want Trippier for Man United away, which is again isn't the best fixture, but then Newcastle are probably on the same level as Brighton, but Trippier has got the attacking threat, so that's kind of my first dilemma. The second dilemma, obviously, I'll just need to wait until the presser's on Mitrovic, hoping he's okay. I'm going to assume he is okay, so I'm not going to do anything with him. And then Reece James, yeah, that's the big option. I mean, if we get update on the presser saying he's out for game week 12, then he's gone for me, I think. And I'll just make the double change. Bring in Trippier and Dunk or Trippier and Kilman. Prepare for game week 12 really. And then I'll have obviously that extra cash in the bank, which I can use to upgrade one of the players in the future. But yeah, that's where my head is at the moment. I'm hoping that James, if it comes out in the presser that he's only going to be out for game week 11, and they're sure of that, then I'll probably keep him. But if there's any kind of uncertainty there, I think he's going to go.
Would you play? I suppose you play Mitrovic if you have him, and you bench Guehi, is it?
Sorry.
You'd be playing Mitrovic, even if he's sort of doubtful. Would you just play him and hope?
Yeah, I think I would.
And who would you bench?
No, I think I'd play him. I think the fact that he was so close to playing last week probably says that he'll start this week. And if he, the thing is, I actually started him last week, and I had the kind of thought in my head was that he's either going to start or he's going to miss out completely, because I don't think he's a player that Again, I was saying, if he's half fit, he'll want to play. So again, I think this week as well, if he's kind of even like 60-70% fit, he'll start the game. If he misses out, then he misses out because he's unfit. I don't see him being a player that's going to start on the bench. So I would start him for sure. But I mean, I think the worst case scenario, if kind of Marco Silva comes out and says that Mitrovic is out, then that becomes a real kind of option, like a real decision for me. Then do I take him out? Like it's got like Wilson, got a few options there I can go for.
Which goalkeeper would you start, Raya or Ward?
Well, that's another dilemma. At the moment I've got Raya, and that's just because I'm not really confident in a clean sheet for either team this week. But I just think I think both will concede, and I just think Raya will probably make more saves. So it's just simple as that, really.
And the bench then would be, is it Guehi, Andreas, and Nico Williams?
So actually, I've not actually started the bench yet. So I'll probably have Andreas as first sub, and then Guehi as second, and Nico Williams last on the bench because again, I think he's probably dropped now. So I'll need to deal with him next week as well, I think.
So that would leave you going into game week 11, if we scroll up just a touch there, with 85% team rating going forward, 81% for game week 11 with just shy of 55 predicted points. Would you take 55?
That seems a bit low. I don't think I would.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit greedy now because I want a good game week because I keep having like a mediocre game week, which is like a small green, and then I have like a bit of a big red. So I'm just waiting for that big, huge week that just kind of propels me right up there.
You see, I think that I'm basing this off bringing in Trippier and Dunk. So that would be the double change for this, what I'm generating this off. And on top of that, I think the algorithm looks at the Man City-Liverpool game and kind of kills everyone's scores involved in that. So
Yeah, I guess
Cancelo,
so.
Salah and Haaland all without very high predicted points. And even Trippier there against United isn't predicted to score too well. Mitrovic at doubt against Bournemouth. I don't know if that's impacted his predicted points. But with using this My Team tool, and if anyone wants to give it a crack, head over to Hub. You can use the link in the description and tinker around for free, I believe. But if you want to look ahead to subsequent game weeks, you'll need to sign up. There's 30% off at the minute. We're looking ahead to game week 12 here, based off just those transfers. If I switch a few players around here, what you would be left with going into that week isn't actually it's not terrible actually. You would have Ward or Raya, probably Ward against Leeds, Trippier, Dunk, Guehi, Nico Williams, Salah, who would be your captain, Zaha, Madison, Andreas, Mitrovic and Solanke, but you'll have another transfer before then and you're 3.4 in the bank, so you'd have options. That's a pretty high game week rating at 97% because the game week's going to be tough for a lot of people. Martinelli, Cancelo and Haaland on your bench. How's that looking going into game week 12? Or have you, I know it's not good to pencil in transfers, a lot can happen over even tonight's football and the weekends, but is there anything you have in your head that would be a potential move here?
Yeah, I think my top transfer for if I go for those two moves in game week 11, then my top transfer to game week 12 is going to be Nico Williams, because even like 3 game weeks in 8 days, as I was saying, he'll probably rotate with Aurier or again start on the bench and come on, so he's going to be my top transfer out, I think. And then I guess I could go for the likes of McKillman, who's got a good fixture in game week 12. There's options there like possibly even like a double up on the Brighton defence, because they've got Nottingham Forest at home, which is probably the best chance they'll get all season to keep a clean sheet. So and the thing is, I don't think we need to look too far ahead as well in that sense, because by next weekend it'll be game week 13, and then 3 game weeks later, we've got unlimited transfers again. So it's a bit more short term planning right now, and so I guess by game week 12, hopefully if everything goes okay, even with those injuries, I could still come out with 11 decent players.
Yeah, if only you could play Raya as well on your bench. Everyone will be.
I could use a bench boost.
Yeah. So if you were to bring Kilman in anyway for Nico Williams, just as an example, you'd be up to a 99% team rating.
Nice.
So you're not far off the meta. I wonder actually, would one of the Brighton lads put you up to 100? Won't be far off. Let's say like a Veltman or a Webster.
Webster, yeah. I think I'd
Webster gives you 100%.
Well, that's it. Confirmed then.
Confirmed. Lock it in. So, like, if you were to end up there, you would be tickling the algorithm's belly for it and making a giggle. It would be so happy. And you know what? We often laugh at this, but I don't know if anyone's been following the wild cards it's picking. They're hilarious. but they keep putting up stupid amounts of points. So
yeah, I've seen that. I've seen those AI free hits. Yeah, they've been doing wonders.
yeah, maybe we need to listen and stop laughing. But is there anything
Mhm.
else we need to cover here? I think this is how you would be up to game week 12. Obviously, we won't be
Yeah.
streaming together before then because I'm away in Paris this weekend. Lucky me. Um,
Mhm.
this is how you'd be looking. Very quickly, I suppose, just to show people who weren't here earlier in the week how I'm getting on. But I won't dwell on this because I do it every single day at this rate. I got 70 points, so the -4 was 66 all in. Very small green arrow. Similarly, I've got a lot of dilemmas here. You know, if Nico Williams, the Triple City lads will be on the bench in 12 along with Martinelli, so I'm already down a man. Reece James is a real stinker. I've just been really unlucky with injuries in the last couple of weeks. I had Fofana, I had Bailey, I've had all bits and bobs going on, so it's not great. But I'm thinking of rolling this week and just sort of playing. I've got my team on the screen now. What am I thinking of playing here? We'll wait and see on Reece James. Might have to play Guehi in his place. And then I'm going to have Andreas as first sub in case Mitrovic doesn't play. Play the rest of the guys, Captain Haaland. And then I'll have 2 free transfers and more information going into that game week 12 where I'll probably take a -4 to get rid of 3 guys or something and rejig. So that's how I'm set, Salah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at your team here. You're actually okay, I think, this week. But as I said, I think Mitrovic will play, so
Yeah.
I think you should be okay there. But yeah, and I guess you could probably bench James this week as well, just to kind of
Yeah. I
wait
could. I will. I'll bench him and just wait and see. But unfortunately, I have a feeling he might need to go at some stage anyway. So it's one of those where do you just take the hit now? But we'll wait and see for more info. If I get the information that he's out now, I may as well just make the change. So I have a stronger bench option maybe. But the last thing I actually wanted to throw at you was game week 12 captaincy. Now, just to display the game week 12 fixtures, I'll head over here. They should be on people's screens now. It's a fun game week because it's the first game week in, I don't know, probably the only game week for some time where Haaland isn't perma-captain. And I know it'll vex a lot of people in the comments because no one's ever a perma-captain, but I've been bitten once by Haaland and so have a lot of people. I don't think we'll fall for that again. Yeah. But game week 12, it's thrown into disarray. You said if you have Salah, for you, that's a no-brainer. I think maybe the hat-trick last night reaffirmed that for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think even with the hat trick, if you've got a Salah for game week 12, then he is the best option, because obviously we've not got Haaland there. And then, I mean, if you look at the other fixtures, John, you've got the likes, Spurs that are playing United away. Kane, I guess, is a decent option, but that's not a great fixture. And then you're looking at likes of Leicester against Leeds, possibly Maddison, Mitrovic against Villa. They're good options, but they're not. They wouldn't be a typical captain options in other game weeks, even without Haaland. If you haven't got a Salah this week for game week 12, then you're kind of looking at not. I mean, I'd say obviously Salah and Haaland are the top tier captain options, and then you've got the mid tier. So if you haven't got a Salah, then you are looking at kind of the mid tier options, in the likes of Maddison and Mitrovic, and I guess. If you've got Kane and no Salah, then you probably go Kane that week.
Maddison, Mitrovic would be the 2 I was going to say. Outside that, I've seen Trossard in the comments. That great fixture, as I mentioned, for Brighton. Maybe people will target. Wolves.
That's a good point. Sorry, I totally forgot about Trossard. Yeah, that's a great fixture. That is a great fixture. He actually, you know what? Outside Salah, I think my next top captain choice would be Trossard for that week.
So fair play, Brian, in the comments for bringing that one up.
Yeah, no, totally missed that.
Crystal Palace against Wolves. Is Zaha an option or Wolves not over?
I mean, he's a decent option, but Wolves, okay, they have been terrible this season, but they're always a decent defensive side and they're always a tough side to kind of play against. So I wouldn't be confident about captain Zaha against Wolves, but still, they're at home and it's a great option. And I just think in that week there's plenty more options that are better than Zaha.
Outside that, I don't think there's anyone that jumps out for me. Newcastle against Everton seems like a good fixture, but unfortunately there's not really any attacking asset there that you'd want to hang your hat on.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you got Wilson, maybe you want to take a punt on him.
Trippier captain.
Maybe.
Let's do it, baby. Clean sheet locked. Assist 3 bonus. I can smell
what
it.
about Solanke? What about Solanke for Southampton at
Get
home?
out of here. Stream over. Solanke, I don't know. Not for me, but I mean, again, do you know what? I get crippled by this every time I see it. I say it, right? I said it 2 weeks ago about Haaland and Captain Tony. If there's a week to have a bit of fun, this is the week. Haaland's not here. You know, Salah's not owned by too many. He's owned by enough. Spurs have United. If there's a week to have some fun, go and pick your Trossards, your Zahas, your Solankis, your Trippiers, your Mitrovics, or your Madisons. It could be a fun one. A question there as well. Sterling captain if you had him. That's from James in the comments.
Sterling, I guess. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, as you said, it's a week where, you know, the captains are going to be mixed up. And I don't actually think we're going to have any player over 100% ownership, you know, this week for the captains. So, yeah, there's going to be, I mean, Salah's on like about 29% own now. So all the captains are going to be kind of, you know, I'd say around about, you know, the 30s, 40s effective ownership. So yeah, I mean, if like this is like Gameweek 12 is the week if you want to kind of take a little punt or go for a gut call, you know, Sterling as good a shot as any, I guess.
Unreal. Well, look, guys, drop us a like while you're here. Subscribe to Fantasy Football Hub for more videos. There's a great podcast this evening, The Green Arrow. You can tune into if you're into it. And we'll see you very, very soon. You can find Abdul here at FPL Salah on Twitter. His handle's below and my handle's down here. I like pointing with my head for some reason. Anything else, Abdul? Yours the other way. Yeah. Anything else?
No, I just think, again, I think it's probably really important just to kind of re-emphasise, you know, I'm just waiting for the press conferences before we make our final moves.
Yeah, absolutely. Information's key. Just wait. Expend the 0.1 million for the